Hi friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Daily News Editorial. In this channel, we cover editorial page section of newspaper. In today's video, I will be covering the Hindu newspaper lead article dated 28th of July, that's today. This article is about Afghanistan. So let's begin. Needed a more unified Asian voice for Afghanistan. Afghanistan's future will impact Central Asia and South Asia more than the distant global powers involved with it now. As the United States and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization (NATO) end their presence in Afghanistan and set off a churn in the neighborhood, Central Asia is emerging as a key player that the global troika of United States, Russia, and China are turning to. Three meetings this month of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, contact groups on Afghanistan, and SCO defense ministers in Tajikistan, and the Central and South Asia Conference on Regional Connectivity in Uzbekistan are turning the spotlight on the region's role in dealing with the situation in Afghanistan and how India could build on that. Factoring in Taliban, put plainly, even events of the past few years and the decision of the Troika have kept India out of a leading role in Afghanistan. Since 2019, the Troika has met with Pakistan, Troika Plus, in order to discuss Afghanistan's future, one in which the Taliban, with which New Delhi has had no ties, gains an important, if not controlling, role in Kabul. The same powers that invaded Afghanistan post 9 by 11 and declared the Taliban leadership as United Nations Security Council designated terrorist are now not only advocating talks with the Taliban, entering their Pakistani hosts of the past 2 decades to help, but actively paving the way for the Taliban's return to power. India's efforts to build on trade with Afghanistan, shore up development projects, and increase educational and training opportunities for Afghan youths have been appreciated, but these cannot grow bigger due to the number of factors. New Delhi's original hesitation in opening talks with Taliban, which even Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani had suggested, had cut India out of the current reconciliation process. The end of any formal dialogue between India and Pakistan since 2016 and trade since 2019 have resulted in Pakistan blocking India's overland access to Afghanistan. India's alternative route through Chabar, though operational, cannot be viable as cost effective. Also, long as US sanctions on Iran are in place. India's boycott of Chinese Belt and Road Initiative in 2017 and now tensions at the line of actual control after the Chinese aggression in 2020 make another route of Afghanistan off limits. Meanwhile, the US has announced a new surprise formation of a Quad on regional connectivity US, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan that does not include India. And the United States Agency for International Development is conducting trial runs of truck convoys from Tashkent to Karachi and back. With so many doors slamming shut, the hope is that the Central Asian window, with the stands as the five Central Asian Republic of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan are sometimes referred to, will open new possibility. But here too, there are some caveats. Uzbekistan's view. To begin with it, to begin with, it is clear that Tashkent, Uzbekistan sees the rise of Taliban in a different light from New Delhi. After whirlwind round of negotiations in his own region since coming to power in 2016, where he mended relations and ended border disputes with each of the Central Asian states, and outreaches to the US and China to shift their traditional tilt towards Moscow. Uzbekistan President Shavakat Mirziyoyev has made purposeful moves on Afghanistan. In 2018, his government became one of the first countries to publicly invite a Taliban delegation from Doha, Qatar, to visit, while at the same time he has promoted a number of ambitious trade and connectivity initiatives with the Ashraf Ghani government. A push for connectivity. Speaking with the Central and South Asia Conference in July, Mr. Mirziyoyev spelled out his plans for a modern version of the ancient northern trade route known as Uttarapatha, connecting the Indo-Ganges plain with the southern territories of the Eurasian continent through the historical cities of Takshila, Gandhara, and Termej. He spoke of the old Silk routes that once bound Central and South Asia together, and called Afghanistan the key link in practical connectivity for them. Significantly, while he mentioned the salience of the Termez Majar-e Sharif Kabul Peshawar Railroad, the Trans Afghan Railroad to connect to China's BRI, and the International North South Transport Corridor via the Iranian port of Bandar Abbas as key elements of the architecture of connectivity. He did not mention the Chaba route that India has espoused. The Uzbekistan's Pakistan Memorandum of Understanding on the Transit Trade, or the agreement between Uzbekistan and Pakistan on transit trade, was also signed the same day, which would give Uzbekistan access to Pakistani seaports of Gadar and Karachi rather than Iranian ports. Uzbekistan's calculations, and by extension those of its other Central Asian neighbors, are threefold. The first is that prosperity for these landlocked countries can only flow from access through Afghanistan to the closest ocean, that's the Indian Ocean. Second, that the transit through Afghanistan depends on guarantees of safe passage from the Taliban, backed by the groups mentored in Pakistan. Third, each of the stands are now a part of China's BRI, and trying their connectivity initiatives with Beijing's will bring the double promise of investment and some modicum of control over Pakistan. Shared concerns. Given the odds, New Delhi's room for maneuver with these five countries on Afghanistan appears limited, but not without hope. To begin with, India and the Central Asian states share common concerns about an Afghanistan overrun by the Taliban and the other Pakistan's thumb. The worries of battles at their borders, safe havens for jihadist terror groups inside Afghanistan, and the spillover of radicalism into their own countries. It is necessary for India to work with them and other neighbors to shore up finances for the government in Kabul, particularly to ensure that the government structure does not collapse. It is only a matter of time before the COVID 19 weary international economies tire of funding Afghanistan, as the last donors conference in Geneva showed. As part of the SCO's regional anti terrorist structure, India must also step up its engagement with the Central Asian countries on fighting terror. While the Narendra Modi government has made it clear it will not send Indian boots to the ground in Afghanistan, it can support the Afghan National Defense and Security Forces where it needs it most in terms of air power. India's previous gift of a few helicopters is far from adequate, given commitments made as Afghanistan's first strategic partner 10 years ago. And there must be more that New Delhi can support, especially in conjunction with other countries that depend on Soviet made arms, including helicopters and planes, weaponry, ammunition, and spare parts. Dealing with Pakistan. Finally, South Asia must learn from Central Asia's recent example of knitting together this region more tightly, a task that can only be completed with better ties between India and Pakistan. New Delhi's furtive discussions with the Taliban leaders in Doha make little sense unless a less tactical and more strategic engagement with Pakistan is also envisaged. Most importantly, countries of Central Asia and South Asia need to find a more unified voice as they have in recent weeks. Afghanistan's future will affect both regions much more than it will the distant global powers that currently dominate the debate. Traveling to Tajikistan in 2015, Prime Minister Modi spoke of why the Silk Route that connected the two regions faded away. The end of Silk Road does not just come about from the rise of sea-based trade of the new European powers. He said it also happened because Central Asia was no longer a bridge between regions, but the new fault line between great empires to the east, west, and south. Ensuring a similar rapture is not wrought in Afghanistan is essential, which today has the potential to become that bridge or the biggest boulder between Central and South Asia. That's end of the article. If you like my video, please subscribe, like, and comment. Thank you.